So they want me to do the entire thing from start to finish. I guess there's new people. I'm gonna try to put it in under an hour. I'm pretty sure it's impossible for me to do. But in 2015, I was working full-time in medical. I had already obtained my certified medical assisting certification and phlebotomy certification through the Illinois School of Medical Careers. And I had transferred to Triton College in pursuit of an associate's degree. I got a bunch of credits there and then transferred it to American Intercontinental University for business management with a focus on healthcare and medical office administration, medical law and ethics. I have taken a bunch of other classes randomly, psych classes, criminal justice classes, sociology classes, AI classes, introduction to AI, and a bunch of other really entry-level classes. I'm also a personal trainer and nutritionist, though you probably wouldn't be able to tell from looking at me now. Kind of soft, but I did just have a baby. So that was 2015. Life was it was rough at that time. I had 3 kids and I was going through a separation after 5 or 6 years in a relationship with Alexis's father. I was working full-time at Northwestern Hospital. I got another job and quit Northwestern. I was managing an optical practice at Irving and Narragansett. I was the office manager, so I was in charge of the office and purchasing new eyeglasses, all sorts of different kind of frames, sunglasses, etc., and so forth, as well as responsible for sales and the clinical portion of things, doing the visual field testing and testing for glaucoma and things of that nature. Following about 3 months at that career and about 6 months of intense prepping for the NPC, which is an amateur weightlifting competition, I found a job doing bottle service on the weekends while my children were with their father. My children lived with me full-time during the week and went with their father on the weekend. Very quickly after I began working in that bottle service capacity, I was picked up off of the street in a car by a detective called David Shepard and multiple of his coworkers in unmarked black SUVs and sedans. They pulled me out of the car and told me that I had to go with them. They didn't give me any information. They took me to what I refer to as a black hole site, which is a site made for interrogation or questioning that is not associated with the police department. So it doesn't have the traditional welcome to the police station signage and things of that nature. It was terrifying. I had no criminal record at that time, was like literally an office mom. They held me there for about 9-10 hours. They brought a box, a paper box, reams of paper come in these boxes, and it was filled with photos and information about some of the clients from the bottle service bar that I was working. I was told that I was going to jail, to prison, that I was a known friend, I don't know what word they used, associate of these people. Please understand, to God, I swear, I knew these people maybe a generous 3 or 4 weeks, possibly, maybe even less than that. So I really didn't know these people, and I only knew them from the capacity of I met them there in the club as customers of bottle service. Now, to make a long story short, this officer extorted me. He said that if his name is Detective Shepard, so not an officer, a detective. He told me that if I did not comply with his investigation and help him gather information, that he would, quote, be back to see to it that my kids were taken from me. I was terrified and willing to do anything for my children. So he told me that I needed to pick up this woman who was actually in a relationship with Dylan, who was my co-star on Love After Lockup, and that I needed to pick her up and, you know, spend some time with her learning about these people. Dylan told me, and at the time Dylan and I were only really friends, acquaintances. I had only known him for like 2 weeks, and I was introduced to him from my best friend at the time, which was Karen Tiny Garcia. So Tiny and I would always be out, and I was working in the industry, and she was just like someone who brought spenders. And we would, you know, pop out together. For me, it was always about making money. For her too, she was kind of involved in various things. But the point was, you know, we were not very familiar with each other. We knew each other for about 2 to 3 months at that time. I knew her better than I knew anyone in that group, way better. So my experience with the people in the group that they were asking questions about was literally none. I had gone to maybe 2 afters where they were, one party at the Pilsen house, and probably hung out with them during the day maybe 3 times. Once at a pool party downtown, once at a day drinking party, and once at, I think, a bar crawl or another day drinking party. And again, I was working in promotions at the time, so I was promoting nightclubs and parties. The detective like forced me to be around them all the time and said I needed to call him every single day while I was with him, with those people. There were like 4 or 5 women and like 5 or 6 men that they specifically named. And they were always together. They called themselves the Lurkers. So I would be with them, and when he would call me, I would just say, like, I don't know anything. They're not doing anything. They're just drinking or they're just partying. Like, I don't see them committing any crimes. Like, I don't know, you know? And that was the truth, because if you think about it from a common sense perspective, you're not openly, most people are not openly like meeting someone and being like, oh, hey, I've known you for 3 weeks. Come here and look at all this crime I've got going on. Like, that's usually not like the way that it goes. You know, and I wasn't an experienced criminal in any way, so I couldn't like identify what they were doing. After the detective kind of gave me information, he told me that they were running multiple fraud rings, and that's what they were concerned about. There was a bunch of other stuff going on, drug sales, you know, human sex trafficking, underage trafficking. And so I was angry that they involved me, because I had 3 children. Now I have 4, but at that time I had 3. And I literally thought I was getting this weekend job to earn money so that I can begin stacking up for a house for my kids. I was a single mom, newly single. Never had I been, you know, a part of the industry before. I worked at the hospital from 18 years old all the way to 28. And 28 was the first time I stepped my foot into the door of a club for a business purpose. I had been maybe 3 or 4 times to the club before, or bar, for like a family member's birthday party. But I had never been out casually. I didn't have that life. You know, I was a mother at 20 years old, so I never went out, ever. So 2015-16, I'm 28 years old, working full-time and working on the weekends, doing bottle service, putting myself around these people for the interest of an ongoing investigation under the detective David Shepard. And basically just being manhandled systemically, you know, having these officers tell me, not officers, detectives, tell me, you're gonna do what I say, or I'm going to make sure your kids get stolen from you, like taken from you. So it came down to it. About 3 weeks later, Dylan called me one day and told me that Jordan was stranded at like a literal, like, just bad place, a very dangerous place. It was an after hours place that like turned into just a not so nice place during the day. And that she needed help, and I went to pick her up. I barely even knew the girl, and I went to pick her up, and I brought her home to my house. My kids were at their dad's. It was a Friday night, and I helped her take a shower, gave her clean clothes, and told her she could stay with me for a while. She left about 2 days later to go get high. I didn't know that she had this drug problem. And when she came back, she brought a whole bunch of stolen items with her. And they were from someone pretty dangerous. And I kicked her out, and I hid her she had left a Chromebook, and I hid it in my house so that she wouldn't find it while she was packing all of her stuff. Because the detective, David Shepard, told me that if I did not bring her computer, that he would make sure my kids got taken. So I got the computer, I got on the train, I went back downtown, I met David Shepard at Lake Street, and what's the street that has Circle K on it? One street west of Clark. Is that
No.
LaSalle? And I gave him the computer. And I thought it would be over there. It was not. David Shepard started asking me to go on dates with him, to take me to the WGCI Jingle Bash, to do all sorts of things. My relationship with Dylan started getting serious. He had broken up with Jordan, but he was still very concerned with all of her drug use and whether or not she was safe. And I was commonly playing intermediary in between the two, him and her, and him and, other women, Tiny and Marissa. But he assured me that there was never a relationship with any of them other than Jordan, never with Marissa, never with Karen, that they were just friends, that they had no sexual history at all whatsoever. So I really didn't, know that I should suspect anything at all. And I knew Marissa and him were very close, but I didn't know that they had a romantic relationship. I did know that they had hooked up right before he went to prison, because like 2 days before he went to prison, he hooked up with her, and she immediately left him and went and hooked up with the person I was talking to at the time, some guy named Scully. So she was like literally sleeping with both of them at the same time, and I was under the impression I was in a monogamous relationship with each of them. It was a very fucked up time. But I kind of broke up with him to get to be with Dylan, and I stayed with Dylan, and I stayed very loyal to Dylan. I did literally everything that he told me to do. Dylan had all these deals with the state of Illinois for all of the crap that he was involved in. And at all the hearings for my son, my son Weston right now, when I go there and I fight for custody, they always bring up like random things like, questions with regards to how I got here and my involvement with law enforcement, being that I have no record. And Wayne Jakowski, who is the state's attorney responsible for the public corruption sector, actually got on the phone and called them at my last court date and told them, no, she's not crazy. This actually happened. And a detective lost his job over it, and this has been ongoing since 2016-17. And I thought that would be the be-all, end-all. I thought that would be everything that they needed to be like, okay, she wasn't lying. We're out of we're out of bounds here, separating her from her son. She's not crazy. Her doctor testified she's not crazy. Our own state's attorney testified that she's not crazy and that she's been cooperating in any way that she can in an effort to keep her children with her safe and sound, and still they did nothing to assist me even after that phone call was made. So Dylan got out of prison after I stayed with him for his entire sentence, and he told me that part of his deal was the Love After Lockup show. Commonly, when inmates are coming out of prison and they're working deals, they'll give them reality show deals because it is kind of a two bird, one stone type of thing. They keep them on camera, they make them famous, and then they can't really, number one, get away with much because wherever they go, people know them. And number two, it's kind of like a protection as well. So I said no, but I ended up ultimately caving and going ahead and doing it with him. And we planned our wedding. We picked our wedding venue. We had our prenuptial agreement from like 2 months into our relationship signed, and we requested a formal wedding marriage certificate, which we were denied by the state of Illinois. Another one of the numerous civil rights issues. And all of the deals that he was working, that he involved me in, when they kind of like pulled him away and put him, with Marissa and threw me into the street, like they didn't give me any like protection or direction. They were just like, oh, well, fuck you, And as a result, I was sexually assaulted 3 times. I was thrown out of my home unlawfully. I was unlawfully evicted from my apartment on Gunnison. I was separated from my children unlawfully. I was robbed a number of times. It got so bad at one point I had to roll up any of the money that I had in cash. My bank account was getting skimmed immediately. As soon as I would deposit something, it would get taken out, and I would roll up my cash and put it inside of one of those pre-roll cylinders and put it inside of my body internally, because I was getting robbed every night while I would go to sleep. I would stay awake for so long. I never had a drug problem. I was just staying awake because I didn't want to get robbed again. And every time I would fall asleep, I would get robbed. Law enforcement refused to assist me. I don't know why. I have numerous police reports on file with regards to the sexual assaults and the stalking and things of that nature, which to this day, have continued, and affected me at my all of my jobs, every job that I've gotten. But they still won't take any of that into consideration when we go to court. They just act like it's a non-issue, or like it's not happening, or say that I'm imagining it. So Xavier and I were supposed to be getting housing after our son was born. We were told that we would finally be in receipt of a townhouse or condo to meet my family's needs. I met Xavier 2 years after the show got done filming, and he told me his brother Carlos worked for the district attorney and that they were going to help me. There's been no resolution. Things have remained with me consistently. What do I do with my time? I work. I teach myself stuff. I take classes. I work out. I check on my children. I clean. I do my hair and makeup. I work on social media. I look for income opportunities. None of that has changed. I've been consistent throughout, no matter if I'm sleeping on a sidewalk or in a king size bed with a down comforter. None of that changes for me. I remain consistent. What has changed is the roller coaster of we're working on it, don't worry, we're fixing it. Then we hit that plateau where for a second, everything is almost normal for 1 second. And then we hit that, and it has been that pattern ever since. I was jumped and stabbed. My apartment was intentionally flooded 2 times. But I'm talking like 2 feet of water. I was bludgeoned with a tire iron. Prior to any of this taking place, I'd never been attacked. I'd never been victimized, ever. So it's just a really weird time. I don't know what to do or how to resolve it. I am looking for civil rights lawyers to get involved with regards to the attack while I was pregnant. I am also looking for lawyers to get involved with regards to what has gone on with DCFS with my youngest child, Weston. I am looking for advocacy, and I am looking for a creative team to help me produce and publish content that is accurate and realistic rather than exaggerated or bamboozled. And what I mean by that is the majority of the content, like I've desperately created what I call FTRs, for the records, about everything that's taken place when I was being held in a tent throughout my pregnancy, when I was being blatantly denied housing, all of these things. I gave a day-by-day statement. Oh my God, this is what's happening today. This is who I called for assistance. This is the direction I've taken things. This is, and I have all of that. All of that is uploaded publicly to Instagram in more than one location, as well as my iCloud. But even in doing all of that, there has not been much progress. So I am, every day waking up and looking around me and thinking, whose fucking life is this? Whose life is this? Whose life is this? I'm supposed to be sitting in like a big, beautiful home with my kids being catered to. I didn't have an easy upbringing. I most certainly got it from the mud. I was abandoned at 14 years old in a third world country and pretty much had to figure it out on my own, and I did. I raised my 3 children from the day they were born all the way until January of 2020, when someone attempted to break into my home at 2037 West Roscoe. I called law enforcement for assistance, and rather than them helping me in any way, they said that I was delusional and hysterical, and called my kid's father to come pick him up. Thanksgiving Day. I went live on Facebook to show that there was a man trying to break in. The video is there. I swear to God. You could see the handle on the front door trying to open. You could see like the top of gray hair underneath the window in the gangway. No one has spoken up on any of those issues. My vehicle was stolen from me, Cadillac CTS, and sold at auto auction. I'm working with a law group out of Valdosta, Georgia, currently to recover the cost of that. And there's been a lot of false reporting to the credit bureaus. Someone reported that I did not pay for my vehicle, that my vehicle was charged off throughout the year of 2019 and 20. I have all of the bank statements to prove that it was not. So there's just more nonsense going on than I can even make sense of. It never stops. Like I said, when we're working, and we reach that place where it's like, oh my God, I think we solved it. I think everything's okay. That's just in time for us to hit the part where everyone's screaming again, and that's where we are right now, so there's a lot more, there's a whole bunch of details, where I was, why I was there, how I got there, etc., and so forth, but the entire thing is absolutely exhausting. So the podcast, if you guys can listen to the podcast in order, there's a lot more detail about what went on. It's just a really devastating situation. There's a syndrome called, what is that syndrome called when you fall in love with your kidnapper? Stockholm syndrome. One of two things has taken place. Either I most certainly had Stockholm syndrome, or there's a huge, significant amount of information that I'm still missing. And I don't know which one, and it is a difficult space to sit in. There's a line by Moira Rose on Schitt's Creek where she says, well, Alexis, that's her daughter's name, my daughter's name also. She says, well, Alexis, you wouldn't be the first one to fall in love with her abuser. No, you wouldn't be the first. You certainly wouldn't be the first story of love. No, something about it's very common. So I really don't know. And Xavier, I sometimes think that he is Xavier, like the true Xavier who I met when he was like wearing like an outfit that was clean and new and like gives the perception, like it's giving I care about myself. It's giving I'm wearing clean clothes. It's giving I smell good. It's giving I'm here for you. He doesn't dress like that anymore. He has been wearing like dollar store leggings and refusing to shower for 4 to 6 weeks at a time. And being very mean to me, claiming that I have like racial fetishes and that I'm cheating on him. I am asexual, to be incredibly clear with you. Have not had sex in a very, very long time. Don't have interest in being intimate with anyone other than my significant other. And if Xavier, and his district attorney brother are really here to help, when do we start that part? Because my son quite literally was kidnapped from my arms at 3 days old, and he's 9 months now, and I've done all the bullshit they've asked me to do. I took the drug test even though I've never been addicted to a substance. The drug tests, I passed every single one. I took 90 days of West Care, which is like some sort of class for people who have a drug addiction. I've never had a drug addiction. The context of why they recommended that is absolutely absurd. Finished it with flying colors, didn't even argue with them. I've never missed a visit unless they're the ones to cancel or reschedule it. I do everything. I'm a mother. That's what I am. That's my job. I'm a mom. But I'm still sitting here separated from my big 3 kids and separated now from Weston. And I don't get it. And my doctor already took the stand. And I have that transcript and I'm waiting to release it. The judge said that if I talk about what she orders or not what she orders, if I talk about what goes on after the court dates, that it would be called, what's that thing called? Contempt. So that I'm not allowed to discuss anything that's going on in court or what she rules or what other people testify, which to me is a big problem. It's a big problem. We have amendments. One of those amendments discusses our right to free speech. And it's more than that. This is a very, very corrupt court, very corrupt. And I need advocacy. Like immediately, my son needs advocacy. Me, my son, my other son, my 2 daughters. Let me put this into perspective. My children lived with me until one day, without warning, law enforcement came to my house to respond to my call of someone breaking in. Law enforcement forced my kids, crying, saying, no, I want to stay with my mom, to go with their dad. And ever since then, I have been fighting for them to be with me. I have legal custody, but all of these curated issues with my housing or physical abuses have prevented me from being able to rebuild my life. And my kids don't understand what's going on, and I don't fucking understand what's going on. So I go, very live in public with a lot of the details. There are millions of details that I haven't shared. But I need urgently a new digital team immediately. I need moderation for all of my socials immediately. With 5 years of my own dedication and drive and none of those things, imagine where I could be in another 5 if I have those things. And this is not just about me, switch positions with me. Put my shoes on for a minute. Put my shoes on for 5 years. Spend a year pregnant in a tent, going to the hospital saying, I'm having preterm labor signs, I need help. And them telling you, sorry, there's no room for you here. Spend your pregnancy in a tent calling every single day 911 and 311 for shelter assistance and help. And them telling you, oh yeah, it's okay, once your baby's born, we'll help you. And then they show up and steal your child from your bedside. Alexis is 11 years old. I have custody of all 3 of my big kids, but I haven't seen or spoken to her since September 19th. Why? I call every single day. I text every single day. without exception, every day. This is not my life. I'm a mom. This life belongs to someone else. Oh, and I wanted, before I hang up, or before I let you guys go right now, I wanted to provide some information. Well, I don't have it right here, but I'll do it on another live next time. The update basically is, you guys, and thank you for everyone who's been, here listening this entire 30. There's so many more details. And I do have a significant head start on my novel. But the main update is no one ever came through with housing. I got us a room at a hotel for the month with my check from work. We were approved for 3 months of housing paid through DCFS Norman Services for an apartment. They never followed through. That was in May. We're now in November. I never stopped asking them. No follow through at all whatsoever. And we still have that approval. Just have no idea why they haven't followed through. It was supposed to be like a great program for me to be able to save money for 3 months, put my checks into a savings account and have this apartment security deposit in first 3 months completely taken care of so that I could get a head start at life after everything that, I've been through. But like I said, there's been no follow through. Every single promise that they've made us has been, them selling dreams. So that's where we're at. Everything we promised, they've not delivered on. And I just pray and pray and pray. And I do more than pray, I contact law firms, I document, and I just do my best to stay as balanced as I possibly can. But yeah, so that's about it for right now. Last thing, what do I need? I need moderation on all social media platforms. Across all platforms, I need moderation. I need SEO. I need someone going in immediately and handling all the SEO, which we've already done numerous times. And I need SEO, moderation, and a new creative team who's going to match every slanderous page that's been created. I need there to be a page that's actually speaking facts, like Heather the Mom and all of the corrupt things that have been, going on. I need those things depicted in a way that's easy to keep track of and chronological. But yeah, it's been very difficult to put those things in chronological order. Like, it's just been difficult. People assume you're a certain type of person if you have a certain type of outcome, and they don't understand, myself included, that there are exceptions to every rule.